An FBI agent is being indicted right now on making alleged false accusations about firing 2 shots at LaVoy Finicum, the man who was gunned down following the Oregon standoff. Well, it was a tragedy, and we actually have Finicum's widow on the line right now, Jeanette Finicum. She's a very strong and inspiring woman. So let's go ahead and talk to Jeanette about the current developments right now. How's it going, Jeanette?
Thank you for having me. It's going pretty well. Thank you.
So what has been going on with the FBI right now? Were you aware that FBI agents were going to be indicted?
I heard about it yesterday, and the grand jury had finally finished their investigation and have indicted one FBI agent.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It's nice to have some justice. Well, from your point of view, do you feel like this was definitely an assassination?
I believe that my husband was murdered. There could have been other things that they could have taken him into custody. He would have been able to have his due process, just like everyone else is going through the court system. But I feel that the FBI agent who took those 2 shots escalated things, which then put the Oregon State Police on guard. And I believe that's the reason why that officer shot my husband 3 times in the back with his hands up in the air.
Exactly. And we all remember this video footage right here that we are seeing where Finicum was shot, your husband was shot, and you can see that there's a man kind of hiding off to the side. And so he's the one who fired the shots first then. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not sure where the position was of that certain FBI agent. They have not informed me of that. He could have been in front because those bullets came whizzing through the top of the roof and through the window as my husband was exiting the truck when he had his hands in the air. When the first initial exit of the truck is when those 2 shots were fired by that particular FBI agent.
Well, I know this is probably very hard for you to talk about, but I heard from Lord Christopher Monckton that there was some mishandling here, and this whole thing was very unusual, the way they followed protocols, even so that they actually left him out there in the snow. Is that right?
That's correct. From what I understand, he was not taken till the next morning after laying there face down in the snow all night long. That's why he had frostbite on his face.
Wow, that's so disrespectful. I can't even imagine how unbelievably wrong that just feels to think that they left him out there in the wilderness, just not even covered or protected in the snow. That's so horrible. Well, Jeanette, does this give you some bit of justice and relief, having known now that this FBI agent is going to be indicted?
Well, I feel encouraged that they are going to hold him responsible, but he did plead not guilty. Amazing. But he pled not guilty to lying and then taking evidence. But I also feel that the other 4 officers that were involved in helping him to take and hide the evidence should face some consequences as well. And it leads us all to wonder, what else have they lied about? What other evidence is missing? I happen to not believe that my husband was armed. I believe that they placed that gun on him because he never carried a gun in his pocket recklessly like that. He was very familiar with firearms, and he was trained very well in them, so he wouldn't have done that. So what else are they hiding? What other evidence have they tampered with?
Now, do you know if that firearm that he had on him was a registered firearm to his name?
No, it wasn't. It was a gift, a recent gift that Christmas from my son, who bought it from another friend.
Wow. Well, it definitely appears that there's some kind of a cover-up going on, and we don't know how far up that cover-up has gone to, how high up these FBI supervisors were that were helping in this cover-up. But, Jeanette, what do you think? I mean, you've told us about how the FBI has still been coming after you and the BLM has still been coming after you. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah, well, the BLM isn't coming after me. They're ignoring me. It suits their purpose to not respond to any of the correspondence or requests from my attorney, because if they give me a formal denial, then I'm able to move forward in my legal aspect. But as long as they obfuscate and continue to ignore, I'm not sure what our next recourse can be. We might have to set precedent here and find a new way to get around that stone wall. But we are in the midst of filing for our wrongful death suit. We will be pushing forward with that. And this is encouraging news because it does raise doubt. It does raise doubt as to who is culpable, who is responsible for the murder of my husband.
Exactly. And it just looks so suspicious. I know I keep saying this, but the whole thing just seems so suspicious. Even that video footage looked so suspicious in general. And isn't it true that they didn't actually have a warrant for him at the time that they set up those roadblocks?
Correct. There were no warrants for any of the individuals. They didn't receive the warrants until the very next day, and they excluded the warrant for my husband because he had already been murdered by that point.
Wow.
That's the media portrayed this whole thing as if these men, I believe one of the phrases was the felons, they were fleeing, the felons fleeing from a roadblock. They were not felons. Nobody had felonies as far as I know. My husband certainly didn't. He didn't even have so much as a parking ticket.
Exactly. And, we've seen people have peaceful protests and be armed, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's our right in this country. So to try and paint it as something other than a peaceful protest with people who were choosing to be armed is pretty ridiculous. And the fact that they escalated it to the point where they actually killed him, they murdered this man. It's so horrible. Well, Jeanette, is there anything that you kind of want to get across and just tell people out there?
Well, yes, I want to say thank you to everybody who has supported our family and who has continued to help us in our quest for justice and for the truth. I also would like to say keep up the good work, get educated, get involved on your local levels, be responsible in what you do. Let's fight to restore our liberties and to learn more about the Constitution and make sure that we teach our children about these things too, because they're the next generation. They're the ones that are going to continue to fight this fight for us.
Now, Jeanette, what actually had happened with this cattle lease and this cattle agreement? Can you tell us a little bit about this?
The cattle lease, my husband purchased that from another rancher who purchased it from another rancher. We purchased these leases from individuals, not from the BLM, not from the government. We do, however, have to have a permit to run our cows on this ground, the grass and the water in which we've already paid for. And at the time of my husband's death, their stand is that it was terminated upon his death. However, in the regulations, their own regulations, mind you, it states that for 2 years, the family or the people who inherit the property are able to continue to run the ranch as they normally would. However, their stance has been to force me off and not allow me on there. Now, I went ahead and said, okay, I'll fill out my own application. I'm a separate individual. I'm a new person. The lease prior was not in my name. However, the loan is in my name. So I filled out the applications and I proceeded forward, but they're continuing to be very silent. They're not going to approve or deny my application, therefore keeping me off the property indefinitely. And in the meantime, I have a wonderful family that supports me that have allowed my cows to be on their ranch. And otherwise, I would have nowhere to put my cows and no grass for them to eat.
Well, we all hope that this investigation continues further. I hope to see more FBI agents being indicted, more supervisors being indicted for this obvious and apparent cover-up. Why is it only now that we're only now seeing this FBI agent being indicted? And who else had their hands in this? Well, it's pretty sad to see. But Jeanette, thank you so much for joining us here. And you are an inspiration. I know you are a mother now and you have a lot of children to take care of and look after. So how can people help you out? What's a quick link or website?
OneCowboyStandForFreedom.com is where my husband's book is located. There also is a legal fund button that if you're interested in helping me fight my battle with the BLM or the wrongful death suit, there is that avenue as well.
We've taken thousands of years of known research and put it together with our own 4 years of seeking and testing to find the very best systems that God gave us through Mother Nature to detoxify the body. That's why I'm introducing Z-Shield, toxic metal and chemical defense support. It's made in the USA. It's filled with known compounds from nature that are absolutely associated with detoxifying the body, and it supports the InfoWar. It is a classical 360 win. Our formula at InfoWarsLife.com is, quite frankly, simple. We go out and look at the recognized research, and we take it to the next level of quality, of purity, and of strength. Because this is what I personally use for myself and my family. We've gone through 5 or 6 different permutations in the last 4 years since we launched InfoWars Life to actually come up with this. This is the formula that I personally have been taking for over a year, and now we believe we have come as close to perfection when it comes to a detoxifier as you can possibly get. If you're not mitigating the pesticides, the heavy metals, the chemicals, if you're not trying to purify your water, if you're not trying to take products like Z-Shield that are full of known concentrated compounds that help purify our cells and our bodies, you're crazy. You owe it to yourself, you owe it to your family, and you owe it to the future of this country and the world that patriots stay as healthy and as clean and as focused as you can be, because we need you, the remnant of America, to reignite those brush fires to the next level and to be healthy and as focused as you can be. Because if you're sick, if you're over there on the sidelines and not in the fight, you're basically giving in to the New World Order. Thanks to your support and your prayers, together, we're changing the world. Now it's time to change our bodies with Z-Shield at InfoWarsLife.com.